This is a story about the missing prince. My name is Keith Swansea. Please subscribe. Yeah, I grew up in a small village in Africa, nestled at the edge of a dense, whispering forest. The elders often spoke of a prince from a nearby kingdom, a young man known for his bravery and kindness. But one fateful day, he vanished without a trace, leaving the entire region steeped in mystery and fear. As a child, I listened to the tales with wide eyes. The prince had gone into the forest to prove his courage, they said, but days turned into weeks, and he never returned. The king wept for his son, and the villagers whispered of curses and dark spirits. They warned us to stay away from the forest after sunset, claiming that it was haunted by the prince's restless spirit. Curiosity, however, was a stronger force than fear. One night, emboldened by the thrill of adventure and the warmth of our fire, my friends and I decided to explore the forest ourselves. We were tired of the stories and wanted to uncover the truth. As we stepped under the thick canopy of trees, a chill crept over us. The air was heavy, almost as if it held its breath. After walking for a while, we stumbled upon an old path, hidden beneath the thick underbrush. It looked like it might lead somewhere significant. We exchanged nervous glances but pressed on, laughter masking our unease. The deeper we ventured, the more the forest seemed to change. The trees grew taller, their branches twisting like gnarled fingers reaching for the sky. Shadows flickered around us, and a sense of unease settled in the pit of my stomach. Suddenly, a rustling sound broke the stillness. We stopped, hearts pounding, and listened. Then we heard it, a soft voice, barely audible, drifting through the trees. "Help me," it whispered, sending chills down my spine. The voice was hauntingly familiar, a call for help that echoed in my mind. My friends glanced at each other, fear etched on their faces. It sounded just like the prince. Driven by a mix of fear and curiosity, we decided to follow the voice. It led us deeper into the woods, past twisted roots and shadowy ferns. The path became less distinct, and the air grew thick with an unnatural silence. The trees loomed above us like ancient guardians, watching our every move. After what felt like an eternity, we reached a clearing. In the center stood a colossal, twisted tree, its bark dark and rough. The voice was louder now, almost desperate. "Help me," it called again, and my heart raced. We approached the tree, and that's when I saw him. A figure emerged from the shadows beside it. He looked just like the prince from the stories, but his eyes were empty, like two dark voids. "Help me," he pleaded, reaching out a trembling hand toward us. I stood frozen, caught between fear and a strange sense of duty. "You must free me," he said softly, his voice filled with sorrow. My friends were whispering, urging me to leave, but I felt a pull, an inexplicable connection to him. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice shaking. The figure's expression darkened. "The spirits of this forest have taken me. I am bound to this place, trapped in a cycle of darkness. You can help me break it." Panic surged through me as I began to understand the weight of his words. This wasn't the prince we had admired, this was something else, something tormented and lost. The air grew colder, and the shadows around us thickened, swirling as if they were alive. "They won't let me go," the figure cried, his voice trembling with fear and desperation. That's when I realized we had made a terrible mistake by coming here. I turned to run, shouting for my friends to follow. We sprinted back down the path, branches slapping against our skin and the darkness closing in behind us. I could feel the weight of the forest pressing down on us, urging us to stop, to turn back. Finally, we burst out of the trees and into the village, gasping for breath. We didn't stop until we reached the safety of the firelight. My heart raced as I recounted what we had seen to the elders, their expressions grave and knowing. "The forest holds many spirits," one elder said softly. "The prince was lost to it long ago, his spirit twisted by despair. You may have seen a fragment of his soul, but you also awakened something dark." We spent the rest of the night huddled close together, listening to the crackling fire and the whispers of the night. The shadows seemed to dance just beyond the light, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us. In the following days, I often found myself staring at the forest, its dark silhouette looming in the distance. The stories about the missing prince and the dangers of the woods took on a new weight for me. I felt an emptiness in my chest, knowing that we had brushed against a terrible truth. Weeks passed, and life in the village returned to normal, but I couldn't forget that night. I heard whispers in the wind, echoes of the prince's voice calling out for help. I shared my experience with my family, but they brushed it off as a nightmare fueled by our imaginations. One evening, I sat outside, staring at the stars. That's when I saw a figure at the edge of the forest, just beyond the tree line. My heart raced, and I stood up to get a better look. It was the same dark figure from the clearing, watching silently, its hollow eyes locked onto mine. Fear gripped me, and I stumbled back, realizing that the prince was not just lost, he was trapped in an eternal cycle of despair, forever reaching out for help that would never come. I turned and ran inside, slamming the door behind me. From that day on, I vowed never to enter the forest again. The stories of the missing prince haunted me, and I shared my tale with anyone who would listen. I hoped it would warn others about the dark secrets that lay hidden within the trees. But the forest was always there, a constant reminder of that chilling night. I knew that as long as I lived, I would carry the weight of that prince's sorrow and the darkness that lurked just beyond the light. Sometimes, late at night, I still hear that soft, haunting whisper, drifting through the air like a ghost. Help me. And I wonder if anyone will ever be brave enough to listen. That's the end of my story. Please subscribe and ring the subscribe bell to be notified anytime I drop video. Thank you for watching.